Back in the summer of 1994, a large forest fire developed in north central Washington. It was called the Tyee Mountain Fire. I had the opportunity to work in the supply area for the duration of the fire. I was told to bring a tent and sleeping bag because we would be camping out for the duration of the fire. When I first arrived at the fire camp, there was only an empty pasture with 3 semi-trailers. We were told to pitch our tent in one corner of a big field. Once we got our tents up, we proceeded to help set up the supply area. The other crews and contractors arrived shortly and began to set up their portion of the camp. Among the first things we had to do was change into the yellow and green Nomex clothing. This is a fire-resistant clothing. Everyone working on the fire was required to wear it. The second requirement was to have a protective shelter, also known as a shake and bake bag, with you at all times. The shelter was a thick aluminum foil. It was carried on your belt. Even though we were in no danger from the fire, we still had to wear the Nomex and carry the fire shelter. If you needed to deploy it, you would climb inside, find a clear place to lay down, hug the ground with the shelter wrapped tightly around you, and pray the fire passed over you. Several years ago, a fire burned over a crew. Several survived, but the ones that deployed their shelters in a rocky area died. I worked in the supply area. There were 8 of us assigned to the supply area. 2 of us could have handled all the work we did without any problems. Most of the time, all we did was put in our time and collect our generous overtime for the 12-hour working shifts. We did a few things for the firefighters when they went out in the morning or came back in the evening. Record keeping was almost non-existent. If they needed something, we gave it to them without them signing anything. I'm sure there's a lot of material that was never accounted for. Those working on the kitchen crew prepared meals in the morning and evening. There was also cleanup, but they did have a lot of free time during the day. There was always plenty to drink, both pop and water. The food was good. There was a mobile shower facility built into a semi-trailer. They also had a laundry set up in another semi-trailer to provide clean clothing. A mixture of school buses, private cars, and trucks provided transportation for the crews going out in the morning. We were required to park our cars about 20 miles down the valley and were bused into the camp. They did take us out for pay once and the opportunity to buy a few things. While you continue to watch pictures from around the camp, let me tell you about my experience there. In the 30 days the camp was active, I watched a civilization develop. It took over 300 years to develop our civilization in America. We went from the pioneer lifestyle in which you did whatever needed to be done. No one cared to ask about qualifications. I had access to the instant commander. Near the end, I couldn't even get close to him. Slowly I watched the civilization develop as layer and layer of administration developed. Now we had Forest Service personnel directing traffic and other jobs we did earlier. They even had an armed guard riding around the camp. Just because you were able to do the job, you now had to be qualified to do the job. We also had several companies of Marines come over and help fight the fire. They had their own area, command structure, and transportation. The men used what is called a shelter half. You pair with another man, you now have a tent for 2 people. Backfire is an important weapon used to fight forest fires. This backfire exploded as we watched. I believe the fire camps of today will look very much like the Tyee fire camp of 1994. I'm Ron Griffith. To view other of my videos, please visit my website, forandout.net.